So usually everyone wants to be super lean. Everyone wants to be shredded. Everyone wants to have abs, and everyone likes whenever you kind of flex and you see like little veins and all this stuff. And I really do regret getting that shredded, but in reality, I really don't regret getting that shredded. I'm gonna tell you everything basically in this video. But overall, guys, if you guys don't know my story, I was fat. I was not just fat, I was actually obese. I'm actually about like 5'9". I'm not the tallest person out there, and I weighed about 215 pounds. And at my leanest, I was actually about 158 pounds, 59 pounds, basically saying I lost way over 50 pounds, and I did that in about like 6 months. Now, to actually be able to get that lean, to look shredded, to have the muscles, to just look like the pinnacle of what I kept seeing like on TV and so on, it took a lot of work. And is the juice worth the squeeze? The answer is not really. And in this video, I'm gonna tell you guys everything. But as always, guys, like this video, on top of that, also subscribe and hit the bell so you get notified. Now, the first thing is, I realized something that when it comes to your body and when it comes to money, because by the way, this is a financial channel. I talk about money, I make money. It's what I really do, okay? But you know, my body is also important. And I believe that in life, to have a balanced life, you need to have health, wealth, love, and happiness. And I didn't just want money, I also wanted to actually look good, you know, so, and I had to actually be healthy and not run out of breath all the time. So that's why I actually went ahead, and I also want to be healthy, obviously, right? So that's what I went ahead and I changed all of my habits. But overall, this is not gonna sound like a big deal, but getting that shredded is extremely hard. And getting that shredded is probably not the healthiest thing. You know, whenever I used to, you know, watch those shows with Arnold Schwarzenegger and Chris Bumstead, can't even say that guy's name, and all the other guys on YouTube, and I would look at them on that stage and be like, yo, that is crazy. Like, those guys are shredded. Those guys are strong. Those guys, that's kind of what I want to be like. And then I realized that to be like that, first of all, it's not natural. They take a bunch of steroids. On top of that, you don't actually want that because that actually hurts your health. And whenever they're actually on that stage, they're on the edge of basically fainting. They're on the edge between life and death because it really does take a lot of work to actually get there. And it's not just, for example, the medicine they take, but it's the risk they actually take to actually get there. And that's why bodybuilders, as far as sports, they have one of the lowest life terms or whatever it is, okay? Meaning they don't actually make it to a very old age. So it's actually a very dangerous sport. So when you think about healthy, don't think that. That's not healthy. And what I realized that when I was actually getting that shredded and that lean, obviously I needed to track calories. Just like, for example, when I wanted to get wealthy, I needed to track exactly what I was spending money on, the money I was making, and I needed to make sure that I wasn't spending money on trash. The same thing happened with getting healthy. With getting shredded, I should say, okay? I needed to count calories. And my calorie restriction was about 1,500 calories per day. And that's not a lot. Because if you don't do it correctly, you actually go to McDonald's and boom, you're done in one meal and then you're starving the rest of the day and you don't get any nutrition. So I needed to go ahead and what's that guy's name? I can't remember his name, but he's all over YouTube. He always says cookbooks and he's always saying circles. If you know who he is, comment down below. I just can't believe I forgot his name, but he helped me out a lot because I got his cookbook. I watched videos on how to prepare meals and to make sure I can actually have a lot of volume and to actually make sure it was actually low in calories. I did all the stuff, okay? I did all the work, thus I got the results. But when you hear 1,500 calories and you saw what I ate, it looked like a lot, but it actually wasn't a lot. And here's the thing, it might not even sound like it's actually pretty restrictive, but when you were like me, and I was basically going to the gym 5 times a week, okay? An hour. So that's like 5 hours of going to the gym and building muscle. But on top of that, I'm actually running, right? So I was running between 20 to 30 miles every single week. And then, guess what? When I got home, I needed to stretch for about 15 to 20 minutes. And then I had to count calories. And then I had to have my normal life and put in my regular 4 to 8 hour days at my job, right? So all those things kind of compounding. You're like, yo, this thing is pretty hard. It is hard. And by the way, it's not like it cost me a bunch of my time because I can't really say that because what it does cost you is sacrifice, okay? So I would wake up at 4 to 5 a.m. I did a long time like at 4 a.m., but it just got like stupid hard. But it was like 4 to 5 a.m. and I would basically be done with my whole days like by working out stuff by 8 to 9 a.m. I would get home, I would be fully done, shower, and get right to work, eat, and all that good stuff. Now, that's what it cost me to get that shredded. And I don't regret it because at that time, I needed to be able to know what that caused. I needed to be able to know what that felt like. I needed to be able to know I could actually do it, okay? And that kind of just puts something in my brain. If I want to do it again, I can do it again because I've done it. I like to have that mentality of, it's like David Goggins, okay? The guy says all the time, you want to have a jar of cookies, and these cookies are basically your achievements. They tell you exactly what you're capable of doing based on what you've done. I didn't want anyone to tell me what it was like to actually get that lean. I wanted to get that lean and see what it was for myself. And that actually, it changed me a lot. It proved something to me, okay? And that's awesome. Now, here are the pros and cons of looking that lean and actually doing all that work, okay? The pros are, you look cool, all right? And that's pretty much it. You look cool. As far as efficiency with my running, as far as efficiency with my strength, you actually lose strength. You actually lose some of your running capabilities because in reality, you're not meant to be that lean. You're basically putting your body in a caloric deficit, which basically means you're actually consuming less than your body actually needs. Thus, you're actually losing weight. Thus, you're not going to be performing as optimal as you possibly can. It's that simple, okay? So when you think about I want to be that lean, I don't have anything against it. For example, if you're going to be competing, if there's a specific reason for it, but to think that you want to be like that year round, it's not the healthiest thing because it's not actually what your body actually needs. And again, your body becomes like this machine, okay? Now, here are the cons, and here are my personal cons. At certain times, I would get lightheaded, and that was basically like one of the big drawbacks, okay? So I would get lightheaded sometimes, okay? Whenever I would work out and lift some heavy weights, I would get lightheaded. And I thought basically it was just because the weights were heavy, but it wasn't that. Because the minute I stopped trying to get that shredded and I kind of gained like some of like the body fat back and so on, I noticed that whenever I would lift weights, I wouldn't feel that lightheaded anymore. Like it just changed because I was basically going into the gym not with enough fuel. And by the way, you have to be very careful whenever you're trying to force your body or trick your body to do something that it's not meant to be doing, okay? So I know people, they like to walk around on 4 to 6 hours of sleep and all dosed up on caffeine. You're just tricking your body, okay? But you still need real rest, and there are still real repercussions, or how do I say this, consequences to not getting enough sleep, and you actually want to get enough rest. So be careful when you're in there and you're taking a whole bunch of like pre-workouts and you're doing this and doing that to kind of like get the boost, but you're not actually there, because that will cost you something long term. Number two, I was obsessed with my body, okay? You become obsessed with it, okay? And my friend told me this, which my friend is also super lean, been doing it for a very long time. He told me, Tommy, you're good, you're fine. Because I was sending pictures and be like, yo, I feel like I could do so much better. And he told me, Tommy, you already achieved what you wanted, but you're becoming obsessed with your body, and that's normal, but that's not normal. Basically saying everyone goes through that process when they try to get that lean, but then you kind of obsess with it, and that can become very unhealthy. And I started to obsess with my body too. Now, number three is you have a lot of restrictions, okay? And it's not like, here's one method that I basically use not to worry about this. I tried to focus on everything I could do, everything I could eat. Everything was actually my possibilities, and I didn't focus on things I couldn't eat and so on, okay? But it is restrictive when you go to a restaurant and you can't eat what you want to eat with your friends because you have this whole goal of counting calories, and you know that if you have a normal meal like them, you will not eat that night and you will go to bed hungry, and that's not what you want. So my diet persisted of protein shakes, a lot of egg whites, a lot of like planned like little rice with a lot of protein. Like it wasn't like I didn't like what I ate, but it was restrictive, okay? And that's a part of the game. That's the price you pay for it. Now, the last like thing is like you become obsessed with food. I was obsessed with food. Like food to me became like the rarest, the most valuable commodity there was out there. Like food was food. Like I crave food. It was such a big deal. But today, like food to me is cool stuff because I'm not really that restricted. Now, guys, to close this video off, okay, what do I do today? Now, by the way, I still do a lot because to me it's still very important to maintain my body. And the coolest thing about building muscle, the coolest thing about building it's not anabolic, to build, for example, a base when it comes to running, to be able to actually run long distances is basically what it takes you to get there is not what it takes to actually keep it. So for example, for me to build the muscle that I have today and to flex and all this stuff, I don't require to put in the same level of work to actually keep building it. I just require a small level of work to actually maintain what I actually have and the physiques I have, okay? So in reality, I no longer work out 5 times a week. And I no longer even go to the gym. So I basically just work out 3 times a week and I do home workouts from home. Okay, Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. I'm basically doing some home workout, okay? Which, by the way, are harder because I hate doing push-ups and I have to do a lot of push-ups. And then on top of that, as far as my running, I run 5 times a week because I like eating and I don't want to stop eating, okay? So I run 5 times a week and I run a marathon distance every single week, okay? So I run a little bit over 26 miles per week. So on Sundays, I do 10 milers, and then basically Mondays, I do 45 minutes. Tuesdays, I do, for example, 50 minutes. Then Wednesdays, 55 minutes. And then, for example, Thursdays, I do some level of speed work, and that could be 2 miles, 3 miles, 5K. It just depends, a tempo, a fastest miler, whatever it is, just to kind of like get those fast moving twitch muscle things or whatever moving around in my body, okay? So that's what I basically do. That's my routine. And for some people, it might seem like a lot, but it's what works best for me. So for me personally, when I go out with my friends these days, and by the way, right now, I weigh about 175 pounds, and that's a lot more that actually went away. In reality, I have a worn-in weight, which is actually 170, and for the past few days, I did not have the scale in my house. I let my friend use it, and I stopped weighing myself, and then guess what? I gained 5 pounds extra. So I love food, guys, okay? So one thing about me is I always need to track my weight. I don't count calories anymore, but whenever I see I'm approaching that 170 mark, I say, hey, you're doing too much. Let's just go to the protein shakes in the morning. Let's go to the planned meals, and then let's go back to 165. But the big freedom that I have is that if I'm with friends and we're getting pizza, I'll get a slice or two. If I'm with friends, we're getting popcorn at the movie theater, I get a movie theater popcorn, okay? Or nachos. I love nachos. And I stopped drinking soda, even though I was doing like Diet Coke, and Diet Coke has 0 calories, but I just stopped doing it, like just water, water, water. But overall, guys, the reason I regret getting that shredded is because in reality, it's not optimal. It's not what's actually healthy. Doesn't really make any sense, but it is cool to actually do. And I do recommend you get there at least once to know you can do it, to see how it feels, and to just get there. But do it in a healthy way. So look at all Doucette. That's the guy's name. The guy's name is Doucette. I remember his last name. I just can't remember. Chris Doucette. Is it Chris Doucette? I think it's Chris Doucette. I can't remember his name, okay? But that's the donut guy that's always screaming around cookbook, 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 okay? But that guy helped me out a ton, and I appreciate him a ton, guys, okay? But overall, getting that lean, below 10% body fat, 8%, it's not healthy. But it is cool to actually do. I recommend you do it like at least once, but be smart about it. Don't be an idiot because it could have some repercussions. And I never took anabolic steroids. I never did any of that stuff. I just did some protein. I run a lot, and that's my main thing. Now, will I ever get that shredded again? The answer is yes, most likely. And here's why: because so far I've only done 3 races overall. I did a 10K. I did a half marathon and I did a full marathon, and I plan to do another marathon, maybe like 1 a year or whatever, maybe 2 a year, who knows. But when I go back into marathon training and I have to count calories and so on, I probably will like lean out because, you know, like if you lose weight, it's easier to run a marathon because 1 pound of body weight equals to this much as far as when you count all the steps you're taking. It's a whole thing, okay? But overall, it makes sense for me at that point. When I'm competing, it makes sense. But when I'm off competition, it doesn't make sense, okay? It's not a long-term thing. But guys, that is it for this video. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, hit the bell so you're notified. Get healthy if you can. Not if you can. Just get healthy. Everyone can do it. And comment down below health, so I know you made it all the way to the end of the video. And by the way, when I say everyone can do it, it's not like what people say on the internet because they're afraid of being canceled or whatever. But it's like, you know, when you're obese, eating a little less, getting some better habits, it's not going to be easy, but it's not impossible. You know, you hear a lot of stories, you watch a lot of videos, you get the training, and just remember, okay, although I did it in 6 months, right, lost all that weight per se, but it didn't take me 6 months to gain basically over 65 pounds. It took me a long time. So the point is, if it takes you a long time to gain the weight, expect it to take you a while to lose the weight. I don't like this whole like 1 month goals, 3 months goal, 6 months goals. It's a lifetime thing. So just enjoy the ride. You will fluctuate. You will gain weight every now and then. You kind of try to maintain. That's the whole thing. Enjoy. Have balance, okay? Like this video! Up here, another one. Another banger. Here's my face. Subscribe. And as always, Long Term Team officially out. Love you guys.